Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here this morning to listen to a unique SADC public lecture to be presented by the 5 highly qualified and experienced individuals whose focus is building research capacity and innovation ecosystems for a sustainable, industrialized SADC economy in the sub-region. As we all know, and as opined by Halden, in its education, the soul of a nation mirrors itself, because our concern should be with the quality of that education to prepare graduates for the future world of work in both the private and government sectors. For us in Zimbabwe, a heritage-based education 5.0 is our vision and methodology for redefining, rethinking, and reimagining the form, the content, and orientation of our education system from primary to tertiary education and university education in particular. Our first speaker this morning, ladies and gentlemen, is Professor Paul Mafumo, who is the Vice Chancellor of the University of Zimbabwe, and our host in this fine institution and fine facility. The second speaker is Professor N. Mvuma, who is the Vice Chancellor of Mbeya University of Science and Technology from Tanzania, and his topic is accelerating the transformation of the SADC education institutions for research and innovation. And obviously, the particular emphasis is on tertiary education or a university education. We give him the opportunity to make the presentation as well later on. The third speaker is Professor Andres Maukoa Malata, who is the Vice Chancellor of Malawi University of Science and Technology, and the topic is accelerating the transformation of the SADC institutions for research and innovation. So the first speaker is Professor Dr. Paul Mafumo, our Vice Chancellor of the University of Zimbabwe. Professor Mafumo, thank you, sir. Can I please call our august panelists from the countries that I've mentioned, who are sitting on the right, to come and take your seats on these white or cream chairs. Thank you very much. Muito obrigado.
Our moderator, Professor Jimbo. I want to thank you, our Director of Ceremonies, Prof. Tagwira. I want to thank you, allow me to observe the protocol as earlier announced and go straight into the presentation. What I'm going to do is to section this presentation basically into 3 parts, but very quickly. The first part is to allow me to interrogate our philosophy of development or education. And the second part, I will try to give a testimony of how we have ushered in a new philosophy. And then the last part, I will try to export that to the task at hand, which is the SADC community. First, I think we want to appreciate that the very reason for most of the work that we do, we are seeking change for the better. We are seeking to have our socio-economic development path advanced. We may use different words and so on, but I think that summarizes it. So if we look at the aspirations of SADC as a community, we will see that the objectives are very clear. We are fighting poverty and hunger. We are trying to create opportunities for people to better their lives through employment, good health, infrastructure that we develop, just the standards of life, and also to have peace and freedom, to be our own and have our actualization, self-actualization as a people, self-actualization as individuals towards our varied development goals. And I put there the SADC map just to show who is SADC. I would say it is clear that SADC is all the basic ingredients for driving its industrialization. The industrialization agenda for SADC was set quite a couple of years back. And we do have the richness it takes. The first thing that I consider to be very important is its people. We have a resilient people, very hardworking people. So the first asset we have is our people. We do have our agriculture, our forests. We do have our climate, relatively good climate, challenging in some parts, but we do have a climate that we can see our agriculture grow. Our minerals, it's always baffling to see that SADC, as most of Africa, is rich in diverse minerals. We also have our tourism, which parts of our heritage. We also have what I call time. We have a youthful population. So we have time to advance things if our succession plans are in order. Diversity of both people and natural resources, etc. But then you begin to question then that why is it our pace of industrialization a little slow? Why are we not realizing our objectives in terms of socio-economic advancement? It means there's something that's not right. And this brings into question the education philosophy and design, and hence the call for education transformation. I would argue that Africa's tragedy is that of using a wrong manual. And I will qualify that. But first I want to say we are often schooled and socialized to accept that we come second, third, and whatever number to the extent that we lose our self-esteem, we lose our dignity, we lose our pride. And we tend to then get socialized to accept that. And that's where my fundamental problem is. And we can give more evidence of why we struggle to feed farmers. Ideally, farmers should feed us. So those paradoxes, we educate so that people search for employment. After sending your child to school, when they are finished, they come back to the mom, to the dad, and ask, so where do I go to work? But you think you are done. You think I have sent you to school. Even come back to the university and say, so where do we go? It's ironic. So is this education an education that breeds poverty? And that takes me to my next point. I bring to your attention this concept of a purposed education or purposed knowledge. And what I mean by purposed education is that education can only deliver what it was designed to deliver. I'll give you an example of a car. If a car is supposed to take a load of 30 tons, and the other one takes a load of 2 tons, if you load the one that takes 2 tons, wanting to carry 30 tons, it will not work. If a car is designed to have a speed of 100 kilometers per hour, and you try to push it to 160 kilometers per hour, it will not work because it was designed to take that speed. It was designed to take that load. So let's ask ourselves, is our education designed to take us to the industrialization goal that we seek to get? That's the major question I have. It means we have to purpose deliberately our education to take the load that we desire, to take the speed that we desire. The academics we have need to create content and write our own development manual. It's not because others' manuals from elsewhere don't work. It's because they are purposed differently. We have to purpose our knowledge. We have to purpose our education. So this doesn't take away anything from other continents, other regions, or something like that. No, it's not a case of competition or looking at others. It's about what we want to achieve. So we have to purpose it deliberately. This text led me to our case study that I'm using as a case, which I have called a presidential challenge, to just say, if you don't produce goods and services, our education will not take us anywhere. So there's a sense of wanting to purpose the education. And going further to introduce a new philosophy of a heritage-based education 5.0. It's not a curriculum, it's a philosophy. We then, as universities, underwent a radical transformation as we tried to design then the curriculum for that purpose. And the approach is simply about, if we have